HR Data Connector is one of the most valuable features of insider risk management. It allows you to monitor user activities when the users are considered a potential risk to organization. For instance, if the user is being terminated or the user gave a resignation notice, they might be departing not only with garages but also with the company's secret. Additionally, if the user received a bad performance review or was demoted, it might be a strong risk indicator as well, and the activities of such users should be monitored. Even when employees excel at their jobs and receive promotions, it could be worth monitoring their activities. If the promotion grants access to sensitive information or top secrets, you need to ensure that the motivation behind the career advancement was indeed to contribute to the company and not to rise to the top in order to commit data exfiltration on behalf of another entity, or whether it is another government or corporation. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an HR data connector. But in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can quickly create a Power Platform Canvas app for your HR department so that HR officers can easily enter new information. I'm going to show you how to create this Canvas app as well as a couple of the Power Automate flows so that everything is automated. But first, let's take a look at the basics of the HR data connector. Microsoft made it very simple. Data is saved in a comma-delimited CSV file. The file needs to conform to a specific format. Link to all of the files are in the description below the video. You can create CSV files for different HR scenarios, such as employee resignation, job level changes, performance review, and performance improvement plans. You can combine all HR events into a single file if you want to, or have separate CSV files for each scenario. The reason you might want to have different CSV files is if you have different HR teams or systems that deal with different HR actions. For instance, if only one system or team deals with employment terminations. You will then use a PowerShell script that is provided by Microsoft to upload CSV files to M365. Then, Insider Risk Management will use this data to generate user activity alerts. Here's the table that lists which IRM policy template can use HR data connector scenarios. For example, to monitor employees that submitted resignations, you can enable a data theft by departing users policy template. Additionally, you can use security policy violations by risky users policy template for the same HR scenario. Now, before we begin, we need to make sure that we have our prerequisites in check. To implement the HR data connector, you must have a data connector admin role. If you are a compliance administrator, you already have that role. But for the personnel that will be taking care of the HR data connector, it's better to create a custom role group with the data connector admin role to adhere to the principle of least privilege. Now we are going to create an Entra ID app registration for our HR data connector. So we're going to log in to the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. Then we're going to expand the application section and click App Registrations. Click the plus new registration link in the app registrations. Enter name. In my case, it's IRM HR Data Connector. Select a supported account type. Click Register. Note and save the application or client ID when your app registration is created. You will be using this in two of the next steps. Next, go to the Certificates and Secrets. Click plus New Client Secret. In the Add a Client Secret panel, add description and expiry. Click the Add button. Copy the value of your secret. You will be using it in the script when uploading the data for your connector. Now we are going to create a CSV file for our connector. Microsoft provides sample entries on the website. I will leave the link in the description below, as well as the link to the files that you can download. Here is the CSV that holds employee resignation data. It's very simple. It has a user principal name, resignation date, and the last working date. Note the date format that is in the resignation date and in the last working date columns. The IRM expects you to use the ISO 8601 data format, and I'm going to show you how to generate that format in a few minutes. Next CSV file is for the job level changes data. We also have user principal name in this CSV file, but instead of resignation date and last working date, we have effective date. This particular HR scenario has old level and a new level columns, but you don't have to necessarily fill them out. The values in these columns are not mandatory. Next one is performance review data. User principal name, then we have effective date, very similar to the previous file, but we have remarks and rating. The values for remarks and rating are not mandatory. And the last file is the performance improvement plan data. It is very similar to the previous file, but it has the improvement remarks and performance rating. As in the previous scenario, the values in these two columns are not mandatory. In this video, we are going to consolidate all this data into one CSV file. Note that the first column in this file is the HR scenario column, which will have the following values: resignation, job level change, performance review, and performance improvement plan. Since we consolidated different HR scenarios into one file, note that some columns apply only to specific HR scenarios. Additionally, while some columns are mandatory for certain scenarios, others are not. Empty values will be ignored unless they are mandatory. If mandatory values are missing, the entry will be skipped during the data upload process and you will receive an error. Missing data for non-mandatory values will produce just a warning message. To demonstrate this, I'm going to show you the Canvas app that I will be covering in the next video. For now, this Canvas app will be helpful to show which values are enabled or disabled depending on the specific HR scenarios. The red asterisks mark mandatory fields for the HR scenario. Now let's take care of the data format that the IRM expects. It is ISO 8601. IRM will not be able to parse a different data format. In PowerShell, you can easily convert dates to this format using the following command: get date, format, and the lowercase o enclosed in the single quotation marks. In the screenshot, there is an example how you can set the resignation date as yesterday and a last working date as 2 weeks from the resignation date. Use these following PowerShell commands. We are now going to create the HR data connector. In the Microsoft Purview, go to the data connectors, then scroll down to find the HR data connector. Click to select, then click Add Connector button. Provide the app ID, and this is the app registration ID that you created in Microsoft Entra in the previous step. Enter a unique name for your HR data connector. Then select HR scenarios. Choose CSV file, delimited format of the file. Choose Upload a sample file option. Upload sample file button will be activated. Click to upload your CSV file. The actual values in the file don't matter at this point. The objective is to have all of the HR scenarios and to map the columns. After the file successfully uploaded, click Next. In the next screen, you will be mapping the scenarios to the columns. The columns in your CSV file can have any names you want, as long as they are properly mapped in this step. I'm going to show you some mapped columns, but I'm going to use a magic of video making and skip ahead. And here we can review and finish creation of the connector. At the end of the connector creation wizard, you will be provided with a job ID, which you will be using in the next step, so make sure that you save this job ID somewhere. Our connector is configured, and now we're going to upload the CSV file to M365. Microsoft provides PowerShell script that will upload the CSV file to M365. I will leave the link in the description below the video. You'll save the file as HR connector PS1 and run it with the following parameters. The tenant ID is the ID of your tenant. App ID, that is what we created in Microsoft Entra when we registered the app. Job ID, the job ID was created when we set up the HR data connector in Microsoft Purview. Remember when I mentioned that you need to save it? And the file path is the path to your CSV file that you created for your HR scenarios. Before you run this command, make sure that you have the valid UPNs, the user principal names, in the CSV. Otherwise, the script will not run successfully. You can enter any data in order to test data connector, but the UPN must be valid. Note that as of making of this video, the Microsoft website had 2 major errors in the examples that they posted. Take a look at the screenshot and note that the job level change scenario has resignation date but missing effective date, which is a mandatory column for this scenario. Your script will skip records if you use the Microsoft example. I hope Microsoft fixes this soon, but if you are using their example, make sure that you fix this issue, or at least you are aware of why your script might not run properly. Or you're also welcome to use the files that I'm providing for this video. The links are below. When you run the script, it will run with warnings if it finds empty values for columns that are not mandatory. You can disregard these warnings as long as you don't have any errors. If the script finds errors in your CSV file, it will skip the entries that cause the errors and will continue to the next entry or row in your CSV file. Now I'm going to show you how to check the status of your HR data connector. In Microsoft Purview, go to the data connectors. In the data connectors, click on My Connectors. Select your HR data connector. In the Properties panel, find the admin log file and click on the Download log link. I'm going to show you how one of these logs look like. And here you can see the entries that we just uploaded. You can see there were some warnings and then there was some errors. Okay, so we uploaded this data. Now, what if you made a mistake, or what if there is somebody else who just resigned? It is very easy. You actually modify your CSV file, or you add a new entry and you run your script again. That is a PowerShell script. When the PowerShell uploads an additional CSV file to the HR data connector and Microsoft Purview Insider Risk Management, the data is cumulative. This means that each new upload adds to the existing data rather than replacing it. For example, if you initially uploaded a CSV file containing data for 10 users and then later upload another CSV file with the data for 6 additional users, the system will now have data for 16 users in total. The new upload does not substitute the existing data. Instead, it appends new entries to the existing ones. If you need to update information for users that were previously uploaded, you can include their updated details in the new CSV file and it will be merged with the existing data. This allows for continuous data integration without the risk of losing previously uploaded information. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to use Canvas app to add data to your CSV file and how to automate refreshing your HR data connector with new records. The solution will be more user-friendly as you do not expect HR officers to use PowerShell to run the scripts or even generate data in the format that the connector expects. I'm going to show you how to create this Canvas app as well as a couple of the Power Automate flows so that everything is automated. Please like the video if you found it helpful and stay tuned. Subscribe to receive notifications.